Okay, today we're going to be checking out the VTuber who saved Hololive, the story of Fubuki. Now, I don't think I really know anything about Fubuki's history or the history of her or what exactly the VTuber who saved Hololive means, like what that specifically entails, but I guess it means that Fubuki, I guess in the past, had a significant impact on Hololive, I guess. But I'm not exactly sure, so let's check this out and see the story of Fubuki. I'm interested in checking this out. So yeah, let's see.
みたいな感じになってた時が本当に見ましたね。今までは本当に手探り感でやってきて、どうにかねホロライブっていうものがなくならないように。やっぱり吹雪は今ホロライブのトップだからって言われて、いやでもみんな一番なんだよなって思いながらも、ような数字に負けたくないなっていうのがそうすごくて。いやそんなん関係ねえよバカ野郎っていうね、二人がねおかっころを連れてきたんよ。そうそれでゲーマーズになったんよ。
あ、そうなんだ。なるほどね。
そうだからポケーって入ってきて今こんなになりました。
ポケポケケ
でかくなっちまったな、ずいぶんな。ねえ、ありがとうございます。
This is just something though. I really do think don't fucking go into other people's streams and talk to them about the numbers of their gen mates, and be or say, it's oh my god, you're number one, you have the most subscribers or the most viewers, or go to somebody's stream and be like, oh hey, your gen mate has this amount of viewers and you only have this amount of viewers. It's pretty fucking rude. It generally is just very fucking rude. Don't do that. Do not do that to anybody. Don't go on anybody's stream and start mentioning other creators' numbers or being ow, I can't believe you only have 10 viewers. That's a fucked up thing to do. It's pretty fucking rude. Don't do that.
本当にやっぱこっちからしたらやっぱり長みたいな。わかる
ふむちゃんがもう頼りがいがありすぎてチームリーダーだったんだよね、完全に。
しかもやっぱゲーマーズの
そうだね、
やっぱりね白神吹雪様だし、自分倒れたら一番良くないよなっていうのは自分で自覚してるので、私は倒れちゃいけないなっていう、そうホロライブで立っとかなきゃいけない白神吹雪っていうとこが。
There are many important figures in old VTubing. We've covered Tsukino Mito in passing, the Nijisanji VTuber that revolutionized the industry. We've covered Kiryu Koko, the Hololive VTuber that bridged East and West. We've covered Yago, Iron Mouse, Tokinosora, Myth. These are all people that made many great and grand industry-wide contributions to VTubing. But what about those that contributed in a smaller, more local scale? Those who poured their blood and sweat and tears in places that almost died, stepped up to take care of other VTubers around them when they themselves needed the same sort of help. Someone who chose their beliefs and community when confronted with a fierce, almost career-breaking opposition. There are many like this, each deserving a story of their own, waiting to be told, if not me, then by someone else. But right now, there's one I want to highlight, and it's been a long time coming. I've made many an appreciation and history video regarding Hololive and their recent happenings, but never Fubuki herself, even though she has always been one of the prime candidates to make a video around. The main reason why that was because I was afraid that I couldn't cover her as well as she deserves to. Perhaps there are fans out there that knew a lot more than me, fans that loved her more than I did, somebody else that could perhaps do this video justice, but regardless if there is or there isn't, I still wanted to try.
I mean, I don't think you objectively need to be a massive fan of somebody to do a sort of a documentary sort of video or a video on the story of somebody. I mean, I feel if you do your research and you get the facts straight, I feel that's, to me, enough. I personally feel I don't know, I get what he's saying, but I feel objectively speaking, I feel if you do your research and you have the correct notes and evidence and whatever, and you do the research, I think that to me, it's fine. But I guess maybe this is something a little bit different of a story to tell. I don't really know, but...
And this is that attempt. I wish to challenge all Fubuki fans who watch this to contribute in their own way in the comment section, whether by a clip, a short story, or a moment that captures her character and role. This is a story of a VTuber that saved Hololive. This is the story of Shirakami Fubuki. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. For the case of Fubuki, all of this would be true except the very first one. Because when she got into Hololive, the first generation Fubuki debuted in
was Gen Zero.
Soured by a scandal that was Hitome Chris.
Is this Gen Zero? I think it's Gen Zero, right?
This is termination. Originally, there was supposed to be 6 members of Hololive's first gen.
Oh, it is. Okay,
but the story of Hitome Chris is actually one that is already been made by me. Link will be in the description or at the end of the video. In any case, while that scandal put cover and the first gen in a difficult situation...
I mean, that does make sense. Like, objectively, I guess it makes sense that it would be... And it would be an even number, especially for, like, a first gen. I feel like an even number kind of makes sense. 6 members instead of 5.
It actually did not matter all that much, because the first generation and even the second generation did not have that unity and cohesiveness that a lot of newer VTuber generations have now. It's very easy to look at the recent generations of both Nijisanji and Hololive and think that it used to be like that, or that was normal. The reality is that it wasn't. Previous generations were separated from each other. It was the same set of struggles and how close they debuted within each other that allowed them to be close, but not really even having that senpai-kohai dynamic that we know now. But it didn't feel like the type of generation.
I guess because earlier on in like VTubing, sort of corporations or companies, I guess that the whole concept of sort of like like gen mates and gens maybe was sort of like, I guess, more of a newer concept, and I guess maybe because of that, like the culture of having gen mates and having like generations and having like sort of VTuber like waves and groups, maybe it was sort of like that sort of culture and ideology was in its infancy. I can't say the word. So I guess maybe it's like sort of a different culture, or I don't know, maybe there just wasn't as much of an understanding, or like it was still sort of like up in the air how you go about sort of having like generations and waves and stuff like that. So I don't know if like the culture was sort of like different, or the way that made the viewers saw waves a little bit different, because it's sort of like maybe it was like a new concept. I mean, I don't know exactly like back when Gen Zero debuted, like how many other companies were around, was like generations like sort of a concept in VTuber companies. I don't know.
That we know them as. Not even a circle, more so strictly colleagues that was in the same group that had the same goals, ambitions, and problems. Like when your teacher groups you up with a classmate close with for a project. Adding the extra context.
It's like your like friendly acquaintances. Like as in, I guess like you're in the same class as another kid, and you're friendly with them in class, but like outside of class you won't like hang out with them. And if your teacher like puts you together in a group, you're fine, but you aren't like best friends with each other. So sort of like in the sense of like you're like co-workers, right? Like in a hypothetical sense, like like your teacher puts you together in a group for a science project. Then like after the science project, maybe you aren't the closest in your free time, like maybe at lunchtime, and you don't hang out with each other. It's like you're like kind of like friendly acquaintances, like co-workers, right?
That this was a new company and that there was no set precedents aside from those made by Kizuna Ai. It's very easy for anybody to get lost. Heck, even Kizuna Ai didn't know what to do during her peak popularity either. Faced with being unmonetized and low motivation, not knowing what to do or even what to do with other people, it was bad. And in the words of Fubuki herself, even managers did not know what to do.
Oh, right.
Some members, like Aki, didn't even know how to stream. Some members were alien to each other. And in a situation like that, it's very easy to just leave.
Right, it makes, because its concept's still very new. That makes sense.
Try again another time or wait for somebody to step up. But one did step up, and that was Fubuki.
Oh.
In every generation of VTubers, at least in the traditional sense, those that step up often assume the role of the leader. Sometimes their charisma, their dedication to not just their craft but to those around them, often makes it so that they become a figurehead even beyond their generation. We saw this in figures like Ryokoko, and the case could be seen in Shirakami Fubuki. Her influence and helpfulness extended to not just the first and second gen, but to the entire company. In a time where even Hololive managers did not know what to do, where there were basically no staff at all, Fubuki's eagerness to help and proactiveness has led her into becoming somewhat...
Right, because obviously, it was literally the first generation. Like, it was literally the first wave, so that obviously makes a lot of sense. I mean, it was basically, the company was basically, like, that was when it was starting, so of course that makes a lot of sense. And I guess also, when VTubing's sort of earlier on in its infancy, it makes sense that managers may not exactly know what to do in the sense of, like, in a group-based thing. Like, it makes sense that management didn't really know exactly what to do in, like, in a group or in a wave aspect, or how to really, like, help them sort of, putting them together or having them work together.
Of pseudo-management, taking in some responsibilities of managers to get things going. In fact, there was a time that some people thought Fubuki was an executive of the company. That's what a lot of people presumed back then and even today. And there were some circumstances where we genuinely did see Fubuki take in some of those responsibilities, such as being the leader and MC of a lot of Hololive's PR and celebratory events like Holokami, leading and being the MC of events, being the spokesperson for the company, being the one who caused the team to huddle. But it's not unusual for any startup company to have an original member to help out with a lot of behind.
That's not a crazy concept. Even now, even to this day, it's not sort of crazy to have, like, a first generation sort of member sort of take on sort of like a leadership role in, like, even sometimes like a staff role to a certain extent in helping the company, because when it's a startup, obviously it's small, it's growing, and as a first generation, you are building the foundation, you are helping building the legacy of the company, and you can emerge as sort of somebody who is sort of like a pseudo manager, or somebody who is in a way kind of a spokesperson for that said company. And even, like I said, even today, it's not even something where it doesn't happen anymore. I think even now, startup companies may have that sort of thing with a talent also.
Seen stuff, especially if they're just as invested as a CEO or some of the higher-ups. Eventually, even becoming managers themselves whenever some resources and some people need to be reallocated, or when the company's priorities change, or the role and passion that talent may have will shift. At the very least, however, Fubuki's say and influence in the company is massive, even if she isn't actually a pseudo-management of sorts. Her choices and opinions are perhaps the most valued, not just in the Hololive fanbase, but perhaps even by the company itself.
あ、
Wow.
そうなんだ。なるほどね。
そうだからポケーって入ってきて今こんなになりました。
ポケポケ系でかくなっちまったな、ずいぶんな。
ねえ、ありがとうございます本当に。
The more influential and oldest instance of this was when Mio was roped into Hololive due to Fubuki being in it. Getting into the interview, Mio got in. There was a time when Hololive auditions were just not serious or official or streamlined, and from there, Miyu and Fubuki referred Ukayo to the company, and then Ukayo referred Korone.
Wow.
Thus the start of Hololive Gamers. Originally, it was supposed to be a group focused on gaming tournaments and such, and now it's one of the most popular VTuber groups in the entire world, and the root and the start of it all was Fubuki herself. Thus, why Fubuki is the leader of the group.
そうなんですね。なのでゲーマーズが生まれます。
A lot of you guys are going to complain you're heard or nepotism is okay when Hololive does it, kind of spiel. And nepotism isn't necessarily bad, despite how many V-Shoujo and Nijisanji complainers scream that it is. My opinion and the fact of the matter, I think, is much more nuanced than that. Nepotism happens everywhere, there's pros and cons, but we won't go into that in this video.
100%. I'm sorry. This is just a PSA, right? nepotism exists in literally any sort of kind of entertainment industry of literally any kind. The music industry, the music I said the music industry and the music industry. The music industry, the film industry, as much as you say it sucks, as much as you hate it, at the end of the day, the fact is that person in making connections and getting those connections, I say, is a skill in itself, and networking is something actively to do that I would not, it's like, it's not really, to me, I can't really say it's a negative thing or put that sort of like above the talent or the company, because it objectively makes sense, especially when a company's starting off, when it's in its infancy, like when you have a first gen, a second gen, if one of your talents is like, hey, I know a person who's really talented and I get along with, it objectively just makes sense to be like, okay, yeah, let's talk to this person, let's talk to this individual. There's always aspects of nepotism, there's always connections within everything. There's VTubing is a very, content creating is a very community-based thing, right? And in order to get into these companies, people have connections. People use connections to get in, or be given an opportunity, or it just objectively makes sense. If you are auditioning for a company, you can say, oh, hey, I'm friends with one of your talents. That kind of gives you some sort of leg up. You have to do everything that you can. If you want to be in a company, you should use all of the tools that you have. And I cannot put that against somebody, right? In order to make it into a VTuber company, you gotta use all the tools that you have. And if that is one of the tools that you can use, and that is something that you have made a connection with somebody who's already in a company, use that to your, use that strength to possibly get in. And I can't really fault them on that. The reality is, nepotism is within, basically everything. I don't think you can say, a single company has no aspect of nepotism at all. There's always nepotism. There's always aspects of nepotism in the entertainment industry. It's just, sadly, how it works. It really is.
Video.
やっぱそのこっちからしたらやっぱりなんかおさみたいな。わかるわかる。
いやてか当時長だった。
だよねやっぱりそうだよね。
なんかやっぱりふむちゃんがもう頼りがいがありすぎて、チームリーダーだったんだよね。完全に。
しかもやっぱゲマズの
そうだね。
やっぱりね白神吹雪様だし。
ふむちゃんに。
Damn, right? She raised
In a time
Subaru?
where Hololive, Nijisanji, or any of the big companies knew nothing of what was the right thing to do or what was wrong, in a time where not everybody was familiar with the technology and culture, the requirements, and the toll such a job would take on people's mental health, Fubuki was there for them, mentoring them. And speaking of being there for people and their mental health, when I said that Fubuki was there for the entire company, I meant all of the company, including Holostars.
Wow, that's really amazing that Fubuki also helped Holostars. That props to her, respect to her for doing that. Respect to her for doing that.
Holostars was in a dangerous situation, especially when your VTubers are labeled and branded as idols. Nevertheless, the CEO wanted a male group for the company, and a male group did come. Like Miyabi says, it was met with overwhelming pushback.
Yeah.
Not a single Hololive member.
I mean, there's even pushback to this day.
Would even try to reach out to them or even speak their name. The first ones to really break this barrier, though, was actually Matsuri. Which is kinda cool, actually, since Matsuri was the kind of VTuber that just does whatever the fuck she likes. And her fans knows that, and it also helped that she was a massive fan of Nijisanji, who had that kind of culture normalized. Fubuki, though, was also a supporter of this cause alongside Suisei and other Hololive VTubers, even today. Although she likens herself to be an idol, she does not necessarily like all the aspects of its cultures. One culture that she disagrees on, as we've established, is this divide between males and females. Not to spite the idol fans, but just because she does what she wants.
Yeah, that's
There was
fair.
also a moment in Hololive Gen 4's Tokoyami Towa's career where the girl essentially had a and out of panic for the idol fans who were screaming and complaining, she lied that it was her manager. After this whole backlash, Fubuki decided to redirect a lot of this negativity and even poke fun at the no males allowed idol fans by broadcasting an announcement stream, making it seem like she would actually announce the fact that she had a boyfriend.
Okay, honestly, that is so fucking based. That is so brave of her and incredibly based. Huge respects for Fubuki for doing that. Actually, huge respects to her for doing that.
But the announcement was just basically she raised a cat.
2 1こちらです。
Oh my god, but the cat's a boy though. Oh my god.
なんと私白神吹雪
It's a male on stream. Oh my god.
Fubuki was one of the first that steps up often in times of crises, or at least potential crises. One thing about VTuber fans is that a fair few of them, well, a lot of them, don't like it when the streamers are super late to their scheduled streams, or when they miss a stream at all.
Oh, fuck off. I'm sorry. Those kinds of fans, fuck off. Actually fuck off, okay? Gonna get mad at somebody for, like, missing a stream or not being, like, exactly on schedule. Honestly, those people, you can fuck off. Like, you can actually fuck off, okay? Like, come on. Piss off.
Especially since this was a time where some members were...
I don't get, you can't, okay, if you're gonna like harass talents or like actually like, you know, give talent shit for like missing a stream or something, are you really a fan of them? Because I feel like if you were a supporter or a fan, you would be understanding, right? Because maybe they missed a stream for a health reason, or you don't really know, right? You don't know what the reason could be, and it could be a very valid reason as to why they had to change their schedule, why they had to cancel their stream. It's a busy job. They have personal lives. There's definitely a lot of, things that could be happening that are legitimate, valid reasons as to why they have to cancel a stream, and then for you to give them shit because of that, screw you. Fuck you.
Were oversleeping a lot on stream and getting late. A fair few were getting concerned for their health, and some were getting upset. Such a case was what happened during a Marine and Shion collaboration, where they were late for 4 entire hours. People would have been upset at this until your girl came over, pops up guns blazing, and decided to make the most out of the situation by making fun of them in a teasing way to redirect a lot of that negativity. Fubuki turned a mistake that Marine and Shion would have faced a lot of backlash for into an entire meme that gouged certain Hololive members' lateness for streams and using Shion and Marine as the metric. Fubuki essentially subverted potential backlash into a funny haha moment. But her biggest contribution to her own community and company was a matter between career versus companion, where she decided to sacrifice more than half of her audience and risk her career in order to do the right thing. There was a moment where Fubuki was the most subscribed Hololive member. The first member to explode was Hololive's founding member, Tokinosora.
Makes sense.
Later, Fubuki surpassed her for all sorts of reasons, ranging from her ability to do skits, her being an absolute meme machine, all sorts of things. But where she stood out beyond all of that was over on Japan's neighboring country, China. There was a point in time where Cover Corp had a bigger Chinese market, and that was because of two people.
Really?
Aqua and Fubuki.
Wow.
And when Cover wanted to explore that market, find a way to find a comfortable spot there, Fubuki was the one chosen to hold in the reins, at least from a marketing perspective. In 2019, she was essentially the poster child that Hololive had when it came to China and overseas expansion, because she was just that popular there.
Wow.
So much so that she was among the top 5 most popular VTubers in China come 2020.
That's crazy.
Reaching 1 million subscribers even way before.
What? In 2020? That's crazy.
Before she reached half of that on YouTube.
Wow,
and
that's
that was a good
insane.
thing. Because of that, Fubuki played a pivotal role in the growth and expansion of Hololive and VTubing throughout the rest of the world.
Wow.
It wouldn't even be an extreme exaggeration to say that she kinda saved Hololive. The biggest contribution, of course, being a collaboration with Azur Lane, one of the world's most popular gacha games at the time.
That's crazy.
And those that have been in the rabbit hole since that era knows the absolute role that Azur Lane played in the popularization and spread of VTubing to English-speaking regions. I just cannot emphasize enough how massive Fubuki's contribution to Hololive was, especially during the early CN and JP days. It wouldn't be an understatement that, again, Hololive would not have survived 2018 and 2019 without Fubuki. I mean, look at all these screenshots that happened before 2020 even came, that I'm bombarding the screen with right now. come
Whoa.
2020, there was a fair few clips that elevated the status and spread the name of Hololive to EN. There was the N-word moment from
Oh,
Sakura
yeah,
Miko, Let's
yeah,
Kill a Hoe from Tomoshika and Pikami, Coco being Coco, Korone being cute as a motherfucker, among many other things. And Fubuki
like
was...
clipping culture coming,
Okay, yeah, Fubuki was popular in China. Fubuki saved Holo from bankruptcy, is the ultra god senpai that supported everyone, yada yada yada. What is that one instance that really challenged her to stick with Hololive? Challenged everything
Yes, I'm
that
interested what
superficially everybody would
what
support.
this is.
Well, we are about to get into that.
Oh,
The Kiryu Coco
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Oh, right. That makes sense. That does make sense. Okay.
Taiwan incident was a situation that tore apart China and Hololive.
Oh.
Once close and very loving communities became immediate foes because of one genuine mistake. Of course, I have full coverage of this from 2 years ago, but because of our recent subathon goal, I will be remaking it with the timeline that we have right now, among many other additions, so please expect that. But the gist is, the incident tore the Chinese and domestic and EN Hololive fanbase. Fubuki and Aqua most especially were in a fickle situation because they were the darling of the Chinese market.
Right.
To a few loud
that must have been a really tough position to be in.
antagonistic Chinese fans, Fubuki and Aqua's stance was clear if they even engage with Coco in a positive way. And Fubuki did more than just interact with Coco offhandedly, they did a meme review collab a month later.
Oh shit, the breach!
This had grave repercussions for Fubuki, because not only did she
Shit, the breach!
This had grave
Fubuki unofficial translator team at Bilibili has suspended their services after she visited Coco Broth off.
repercussions for Fubuki, because not only did she rap
Fubuki's peak Bilibili subscriber count before drama. That's insane! What the fuck? That's fucking insane. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm half Chinese. I know that, Chinese people can be very, 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 if they're against something, they're very against something, but I'm more of I'm mixed. Okay, I'm more of a westernized person than I would say I'm intertwined with like my Chinese sides. Like I don't really get like that. I'm not really like patriotic. I guess that patriotism. I guess that that they have. That with that culture. But that is crazy though. 600 subs, 600k. What is, no, it's not 600k. It's not exactly 600k. It's almost 600k. That's insane. That's literally half. That's almost half. That's fucking crazy.
rapidly and massively bleed subscribers from her Bilibili account, but she also had those same aunties that spammed and harassed Coco, raiding and
No,
spamming her
what the
stream chat
fuck?
as well.
Oh, fuck
Constantly
off.
up her ass
Fuck
for an
off.
entire year,
Was somehow privated because of YouTube subscriber only mode.
even till the end
Disgusting.
of 2021. The Chinese aunties was just not letting Fubuki go. Fubuki effectively decided to cut all ties with China, all for the sake of her friend, for the sake of Hololive.
That's
There's a
huge
saying
respect.
spread around by many fans who was there when she said it. She said, "As long as I'm here, you can still put your faith in Hololive." And whenever Hololive
Wow.
would force her to say anything to support the company, Fubuki would quit. And it was a promise that a lot of fans remember and keep to this day, and for good reason. It's not
Wait, a reminder that friends said she would quit Hololive if they forced her to say good things about the company when she doesn't have anything good to say. I don't have a lot of faith in Cover, but I do have faith in Fubuki. That's fucking huge respect. Honestly, I respect her so much after hearing about this, that she stands by what she believes in, and even if that is detrimental to her career, she is going to, say what she truly believes in, and, stand, I don't know what is the word, or just like, she won't back down. She won't back down on what she believes is right, even if it means sort of, losing potential that huge Chinese audience that she had, like, yeah, massive respects, huge respects to her. That takes a lot of fucking guts to do. Like, I don't necessarily blame people who are like, you know, they won't say certain things, or they won't do certain things because it could be detrimental to their career. Like, I don't necessarily blame people for doing that, but for Fubuki to, like, take that action and being like, hey, like, this is wrong, and I'm gonna support my friend even if it's detrimental to my career, fucking huge respects. Humongous respects.
It was a promise that a lot of fans remember and keep to this day, and for good reason. It's not an exaggeration to say that Fubuki has never let the fans down. Her character remains as steadfast as ever, still as supportive, still as vigilant. When she was surpassed as the most subscribed talent in Hololive, when Hololive grew as big as it did, one can guess that she might have sighed a breath of relief. To Fubuki, being the pillar of Hololive was a heavy responsibility,
Right, yeah.
a greatness she
Yeah,
debuted in,
right.
achieved, and was thrust upon. And now,
I mean, I feel like being the like basically kind of like the face of anything, or like, you know, I guess Gargoyle's, yeah, obviously Gore's way like the face of Hololive at this point. You know, she's the most subscribed one. Just, you know, in the sense of like, whenever, you know, it's like, oh, you're the face of something, like, you know, you're like Fox Akuma, or you're, you know, Gargoyle, you're like, you know, like, you're Kizuna Eye. Whenever you're like sort of you're the face of a company, or you're the face of an industry, that's a lot of pressure. Oh, no, actually not Fox, I would say Kuzuha. Yeah, way more Kuzuha. When you're like the face of something, there's so much pressure put upon you. A lot of pressure. Well, you know, when you like, you kind of represent the company. When you are sort of, when people think of the company, they think of you, or, you know, maybe so even sometimes people may know who, you know, Gargoyle is. They've heard of Gargoyle's name, but they're not really like even into Hololive, you know, that sort of thing. And being the face of something can have a humongous, huge responsibility that can be taxing. And I'm sure that Fubuki, you know, especially the fact that she was sort of the pillar in the early days, I'm guessing that at that time, obviously trying to build up the company, being unsure of the company even being successful, would have humongous, you know, pressure, put a humongous pressure on her, and it would be anxiety inducing. Like, it probably put a lot of tax onto her, like, completely understandable. That's a lot of pressure.
while perhaps it may be a little bittersweet that the EN members, that some JP members, that those not within her immediate circle may never need her the way they used to, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means the company can now stand reliably without the aid of somebody like Fubuki constantly running around to help her fix and manage or deal with things. It means Hololive became better, and she contributed to making Hololive better, in a way that we may never truly understand behind the scenes. Perhaps it's just me overthinking, but to me, if I were in such shoes, it's probably bittersweet. But if it means she can have fun, take things on the pace that she prefers, then I think that's the best. Heck, we don't even actually know the circumstances behind her work anymore these days. Fubuki barely rested when she was given this great responsibility. In fact, her manager had to tell her to take a break back in 2020 because she never even once took a break since she got
Wow.
recruited. It's hard to be Fubuki, to always keep a straight face when you have to announce something heartbreaking, such as the termination of her fellow genmate,
Yeah,
Yozora
that
Mel,
must have been hard
such
for
as
all
the
of them.
termination for Rusha, among many others.
Definitely,
To keep
yeah.
it all in, to feel that you must not break or show weakness to balance her loyalties of her friends and community, and her career and her company. Again, she has never let the community down, so while she stays in this company, while she stays having fun with the friends that she has, making the most of her time, cherish this little fox. The twilight of VTubers come around to VTubers of her career, history, and age. Of VTubers that's been around for as long as she was, and many VTubers become forgotten. So, don't let her be forgotten. Remember the efforts of Shirakami Fubuki. Her contribution, her action, alongside many, created the industry as we know it as. Without her, there wouldn't even been a first gen. No Aki, no Korane, no Okayu, no Azur Lane, no expansion to the west that we know it as.
Definitely.
No Hololive. A mentor, a pioneer, a pillar, an idol, a businesswoman, a gamer. But most importantly, Fubuki is a friend.
Wow, that was a great video. For another great video from Nasagi. I don't really know the history of Hololive like a ton. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm a fan of Fubuki. Like, it's just like I have not watched a ton of her. I've not watched a ton of like Hololive JP members just in a general sense. So like I know of Fubuki, I know of her. I've always seen clips of her before, but it's like it's not. I'm not gonna lie and say like she's my Oshi or she's somebody I know a ton about. But learning about her was this is really I've grown a huge respect from her from watching this video and learning more about her and what she really did in the early days. I think definitely definitely in the early days of VTubing and sort of growing a company or helping to grow Hololive to what it is today is definitely must have been a stressful thing. I think in any company, right? Going to any sort of startup VTuber company and not exactly knowing if it's going to be successful, how things are going to go, and sort of trying to build that up can always be stressful. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Definitely let me know if there's anything you'd like to tell me about Fubuki in the comments. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye bye.